Hi Capricorn, welcome to your March 2023 Astro-Tarot with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. So, welcome to it, right? I said there would be new content, and here there is new content. So, these are for your sun, moon, and ascendant sign. So, but you do want to check your ascendant first. And if you're only going to watch one, I would advise you to make sure it is your ascendant sign because they're going to be the most accurate, especially because I'm starting to incorporate a lot more astrology in the work. All right. So remember, they are general readings. Not everything's going to resonate with everybody, and that is just fine. You should always use your own discernment. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, for your, what we're going to look at first are the biggest 3 transits of the month. And you already know what they are by now because the whole world has been abuzz with them, but we're going to get into them in a slightly different way to most people do. So, with that said, for your ruling planet, Saturn, is moving out of the sign of Aquarius and into the sign of Pisces, and the cards have spoken. So we're going to use those for when that moment comes. Now, what this means for you, because it's moving out of your 3rd house, and into Saturn is moving out of your out of your 3rd house, my apologies, into your 2nd. What this really means for you, sort of more than anybody else, is that it's going to be in like your day-to-day sphere. And we're not talking about like 6th house where this is like your daily grind and your routines and your habits and patterns. This is like your neighborhood, the place that you live in, the area that you're from. It's also your siblings as well, cousins, neighbors, people that you live next door to, the shops that you visit, the websites that you use. This is reading, writing, communication, speaking. That's all 3rd house stuff. Now, Saturn coming into this area is potentially going to make these things a little bit more of a burden to you. The 3rd house is also speaking, writing, etc. This might be where you feel potentially over the next 2.5 years, maybe it's harder for your voice to be heard. Maybe you feel a bit more subdued in your speech and how you share things, in the things that you actually feel like you want to share. This could be a really powerful time of kind of maybe letting go of some of the things and kind of asking yourself, you know what, is it worth saying this? Is it worth communicating about this? Is it worth talking about it? It could be, if you have siblings, maybe they become a bit more of a burden over over the next 2.5 years. It's potential as well because wherever Saturn is, this is where you have to do the hard work. It's limitations, boundaries, structure. It's you having... Saturn represents all of the Capricornian stuff, right? And so this is something that you do very well. It's bringing order and potentially more hard work to your skills, to your job, to the daily sort of things that you have to do. Reading, writing, speaking, gaining new skills. You might be learning something at the moment and it might be harder. You might have to put way more effort than you usually do in order to get the goods out of it. But Saturn always delivers, providing you do the hard work and you're willing to kind of do what needs to be done. Saturn always delivers. And if you're having a 3rd house transit of this energy, it does kind of feel to me like you will be experiencing that sort of slowdown of these things. It may even be as well that your local neighborhood, maybe you start to experience it as a bit more challenging, a bit more hard work to really interact with people at that sort of grassroots level. Now, to clarify on this, you've got the Queen of Pentacles. Ooh, it got very dark all of a sudden. You've got the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, nice. And you've got the Page of Pentacles. Let me just see if I can open that up a little bit to get some more light in. Okay. So really, I mean, the Queen of Pentacles definitely an energy that you resonate with because you are an earth sign, so Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. The Queen of Pentacles next to the Ace of Pentacles, this could be a change of job. It could be a change of location. Now, if that's the case and you're wanting to work closer to home, maybe you're wanting to do a different type of work or a different job, maybe new responsibilities come in, and so therefore you're having to develop a new skill set, but it comes over time. Yes, the transit is going to begin this month, but when Saturn comes into Pisces, it's going to be there for like a good 2.5 years. So this is something that you're going to get really used to, but it starts now. With that Page of Swords is also interviews, letters, documentation. This could be that, if you're not changing jobs, maybe a boss comes to you and says, look, there's going to be a new set of responsibilities. There's going to be new ways of working, new systems, new everything coming in. And you're kind of like, wow, okay, this is going to be a lot of adaptation. This is going to be a lot of adjustment that I need to do right now. So you're having to really think, harder than you usually do. Like where you've had those structures and routines and really put them in place, this might actually be where you're now having to kind of say, okay, now I've got to change foot. So all of the knowledge and the skills that I have can be transferred, but they're not enough anymore. I have to gain new ones. Now, this could be very good for you because Saturn is moving out of your second house of money, finances and resources and into the third. What I like about this is when Saturn leaves your house, so over this last 2.5 years, you will have got really comfortable with having less, maybe less disposable income, less money, less resources. And it's kind of like you just got to a point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to deal with this as it is, right? There's nothing I can do about it. I'm not in control. So I'll learn to live with less disposable income. And now all of a sudden, Saturn is out of that house, the second house of Aquarius, and into the third house of Pisces. So suddenly your earning potential has gone up. You're making more money from here on in, but your skill set now needs to grow, and the level at which that you can usually learn is having to change and adapt, right? So you're having to really shift and switch here somewhere. So really, really interesting. The second big transit is on the 23rd of March. Pluto is moving out of your sign. You're going to feel this viscerally, right? Whether this is your sun, your moon, or your ascendant, you will feel this. It will be like a right, like a breath of sort of less intensified air will be coming in here, and you might feel it in that sort of really visceral way because it's moving out of your sign and into your second house of money, finances and resources. Now, I know you're probably thinking, oh great, so we've just got rid of Saturn and now we get Pluto. Imagine how Aquarius feels. Right? Saturn has just left our sign, us Aquarians, and now we've got Pluto coming into our sign. So, we've got that double whammy business going on as well. Remember, Pluto is change, transformation, destruction. It's the release of the pure potential, which is why Pluto rules nuclear power. What happens? You split the atom so that you can pull out the deepest and most powerful energies that are contained inside. But in order to do that, you've got to destroy something. Well, Pluto is also magnetic. And so this coming into the second house, Pluto in the second house, and I've said this before, Pluto is not adverse to giving wealth. It really is not. Trust me, if you work well with it, Pluto can bring you wealth. What this means is you're going to have to get really serious, potentially intense about how you make money, what you do with your money, and more importantly, how you attract money, how you attract opportunities for bigger financial blessings and resources into your world. Because it is Pluto, this maybe you're getting rid of debts. Maybe you're releasing, I can't be wealthy because I come from this family, or all of the stuff, the narratives, the baggage that we hold. This could be a powerful time of transformation for you. And out of any of the signs, shameless plug, I'm going to say, over this next 3 months, because it's going to dip its toes into Aquarius for about 3 months, and then it's going to step back into your sign until January of 2024, and then it's going to be in your second house for 20 years after that, right? Excuse me. And so out of any of the signs, if you were ever going to do an abundance block smasher session with me, this would be the time to do it. I mean, obviously you can do it from January onwards, but this could be a really good time to do it so that when Pluto comes into your second house proper, your finances and your energy system are cleared so that you can just start racking up that abundance, right? Trust me, it's a great session. I've loved doing it so far, and I'm really looking forward to working with more of you for, with that. Now, that being said, for this, you've got the Four of Wands, so celebrations. Celebrations about making more money with the Moon card, right? So releasing something here as well with the Three of Swords. For some of you, this could literally be the releasing or the letting go of a debt. For others, this could be literally you celebrating releasing a financial burden, issue, or challenge of some kind. That Four of Wands, there's a change to the foundation of the home, right? So, it doesn't have to be a relationship is ending. It doesn't even have to be a home move. This could just be that you now suddenly have access to more disposable income. With the Moon card, though, you are being advised to look at your past history when it comes to money, finances, and resources, and the kind of experience that you've had through all of that. And with the Three of Swords, you're being asked to let go of an old story when it comes to money, finances, and resources. And I can assure you, if you book an abundance block smasher, I can help you do that. I know, shameless self-promotion, but all right. And then finally, your third big transit of the month, Mars, is moving out of the sign of Gemini and into the sign of Cancer, which for you is going to be your 7th house, right the way opposite the sky, right? In your house of partnerships, relationships, marriage, the space in which you interact with others on a one-to-one basis. That is coming up for change, for review in some way, shape, or form. Now, what I will say to you, let me just put this here. There we go. Having to do all sorts behind the scenes just to make sure that you can see the cards, that you can see me, that everything's all set up right. Trust me, Rafi works hard for you guys, I can assure you. Now, all of that aside, Mars is energy, passion, excitation. It can very well bring exciting new endeavors and new connections into your life. It might speed up the relationship sector. So this could be in terms of dating, but it could be personal, it could be professional, it could be platonic. Remember, Mars is a severing energy as well, right? It's the sword, it's the scalpel, it's the scissors. It's got a cutting or removing energy because it is a malefic technically. Now, what this means is when it comes into the sign of Cancer in your 7th house, there is a potential here, if there are partnerships, connections, collaborations, what's the word that I'm looking for? If there are, connections to anyone, whether it's personal, professional, or platonic, that you actually don't want in your life, this next 6 weeks is a really good time to remove it, right? Because you're using the severing energy of Mars in the 7th house to cut the ties or the connections that you no longer want or aren't relevant in your life anymore. And sometimes we need to do a life audit. Mars is definitely going to help you do that. For this, you have your card, the Devil. With the 7 of Swords, okay, interesting, and the 3 of Cups. I am going to tell you straight up, right? If there is somebody that you want to get rid of, or if there is a connection that you want to release, and it looks like for some of you this might be a friendship tie, do it in a Capricornian way, right? You guys usually have a lot of integrity. You say what you mean what you say. It kind of is what it is. You can be quite sort of forthright at times. That will be infinitely much better than the opposite, which is to, you're going to try to fob it off with a white lie. Oh, I just haven't got time to hang out anymore. Or, don't do all of that crap. Don't do it. Just don't do it to yourself, right? And don't do it to somebody who, if they are a friend and you're phasing it out, just be 100 with them and say, listen, you know what? I don't really feel like this connection is going anywhere anymore, or it doesn't feel right for me and I'd like to call it, right? Be honest. Be really honest. You might be surprised at what the feedback is that comes back from it. But also be honest, because you've got the 7 of Swords with the Devil card. That lie is going to come back to bite you in the arse, all right? So just be upfront about it from the offset so that it doesn't become a problem later down the line. Now, For your different sectors of the month, you have... Dun, 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 dun. Alright, so for your actions and interactions with the world at large this month, you have the Two of Pentacles, the Five of Swords, and the Moon card, right? So this potentially is conversations that you're having around money, finances and resources with a friend or a collaborator, and maybe they've been unfairly stacked. Maybe you don't really feel like you're getting what you paid for anymore. There's a hard conversation that will need to be had. Now, the Five of Swords coupled with the Moon card, this is a conversation you've had before. It's one that's come up time and time again, and it's kind of one of those things where, you know, sometimes like you have a conversation with someone about something so many times and it's like you never make any headway. This could be that. Only this time, it's kind of like you saying, no, I'm not doing this again. I'm not having this conversation again. This is where we part ways, or this is where we either put something new in place, we have a different conversation, or one of us agrees to do something differently because I'm not going around on this again. For your work and studies, you've got the Seven of Pentacles with the Temperance card and the King of Cups, right? So the King of Cups, usually a water sign male, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. He falls right on top of the Moon card. So that's a Pisces male this week, this month will feature for you in some way when it comes to your work. Could be home life, it's very possible. You've got this with the Temperance card and the Seven of Pentacles. This is you and a collaborator, a partner, a boss, maybe even a friend. You're having a lot of conversations about where patience really needs to be applied here. So this could be that you're having talks about longer term plans or future vision plans, etc. And it's like you're having to really kind of consider, okay, where is it that I need more patience? Where is it that I can have more patience? And be honest, if you can't and you feel like you've waited too long, or you know what, actually you're telling me a year and a half from now I'm going to be promoted or I'm getting that pay rise, it's too long. Either you find a way to switch up that timeline or I'm going to have to go elsewhere. For those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, this may be that you're starting to understand where even if you're learning about something that doesn't, not that it doesn't feel right, but like, it's like, you know, like when you're doing a degree, you might have to study things that you don't like. You might even, depending on the degree, you might have to study things that you don't agree with, right? But if you want to get the degree, you're going to have to go through it. This month, maybe if you're studying, like you start to look at where you can compromise and where you can't. All right, and I think that's the same for work as well. Like that's really the deepest message here. For your love and relations, you've got the Eight of Pentacles, the Sun card, and the Three of Swords, right? So if you're leaving a job, you're leaving it for one that's much better. If you're changing a job, your responsibilities and your pay packet is much nicer. This does relationship is where we're at. I don't know why I went into work there. I just finished talking about that. So for those of you that are partnered, married or in long-term commitments, that Eight of Pentacles with the Sun card, that's the hard work that you and your partner have done in the relationship that pays off. However, with that Three of Swords there, you are still having to there's something that needs to be released or let go of. And this could be, let's say you had decided to move. Maybe the move is now off the table. Let's say you had decided to have a child, and the Three of Swords, and you will feel this, like whatever you and your partner are deciding, actually this is no longer open to us, or it's not the right time to do it now, you will feel it. You'll feel it on a very visceral kind of level. You might feel like, oh, you know, this is really hurting me to give this up. But it is for the best in the long run. And you can see that because you've got the Sun card. It's like whatever you're having to sacrifice now, you and your significant other, you know that it's worth it. For those of you that are single, it's literally through your work that you're meeting someone, and potentially a Pisces. It wouldn't surprise me if it was a Pisces, actually. Which is kind of cool. So yeah, that's quite nice. The other thing as well, for a lot of you, you might have a journey or a trip of some kind planned for this month, and maybe work gets in the way. And when you get, when you're having to do the whole work thing, you end up bumping into somebody that you meet and you're like, oh wow, okay, you're a bit of all right. You take a shining to each other. For your money and materials, you've got the Six of Pentacles with the Ace of Wands, nice. And the Lovers card. So the Lovers card is number 6. You've got the Six of Pentacles, 2 sixes. 2 sixes represents balance or irritability, and in this it definitely represents balance. For those of you that are partnered, you and your partner are on the same financial page. It is going to take potentially a lot of hard conversation. This is kind of like one of those, we either get past this now or we find a different solution. All right, now, in terms of your personal monies, that Pluto transit into the 2nd, I think, is going to bring you some really great ideas that potentially see you saying to yourself, okay, am I going to do this? Some of you might be asking yourself that question. Do I break away from the steady full-time job, where I've got a regular pay packet, something that Capricorns really need, and I go for broke, right? And I go and I start my own business and I make this happen. For a lot of you, it does look like you may be making an entrepreneurial jump or gamble. Capricorns don't gamble. If a Capricorn makes a move that you kind of feel like is out of character or a little bit of a risk or a gamble, you better believe they've got pie charts in the background that you can't see. No such thing as a Capricorn that makes a risky move. So, it could be, I feel like that might be it for a lot of you. You might be looking at it and saying, you know what, fuck it. Maybe it's time to go for broke and do my own thing. And it could be very good for you. Okay. So for your weeks of the month, let's have a look what's coming up here for you. All right. So for the first week of the month, you've got the Justice card. So this is where you are committing to the changes, all right? So whatever they are, however they show up, this is where you kind of say, okay, you know what? If this is how it's going to be from here on in, no problem, I can get on board with that. And this is the thing that I love about Capricorn energy, and maybe it's because I'm an Aquarius and we're both ruled by Saturn, but it's kind of, tell me what it is, tell me what it isn't, let me make up my mind, and then if I'm in, I'm in, if I'm not, I'm not. That's it. Let my yes mean yes and my no mean no. Then you've got the High Priestess. Now, this is a very interesting pairing for several reasons, right? One, this could be a contract or a get-together, maybe even for some of you a clandestine affair, as in literally like a relationship or a commitment that's happening behind closed doors or, in the background or is not common knowledge. This could be a non-disclosure agreement being signed. It could be, maybe you get a job, maybe you have an interview, you get a job offer and you say to them, look, I can't tell my boss yet. Can you give me a week before you phone for a reference? All of that kind of stuff. It's also very interesting because the Justice card is number 11. Now, in numerology, we don't simplify, but here we do. These are literally two halves of a whole. The Justice, Lady Libertas, is number 11. The High Priestess is number 2, right? And she would be Selene or Selene, however you want to pronounce it. She's the inner, more sort of spiritual, esoteric. And Lady Libertas is the exoteric, the more masculine, tangible energies. You see how both women are sat between two pillars. Both of them have a veil behind them. So I could go on forever about these, but I won't. But your second week, there's something is being hidden here. It's not something that's being revealed, as usually the High Priestess represents. This is something that's being concealed here, and it's a commitment of sorts. And probably for a lot of you, a relationship, some of you, a sexual relationship. I'm just going to tell you straight up, if you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, maybe not right away, but eventually, if this is you stepping out on your relationship or your marriage or your partner without their consent, They will find out eventually. One thing that you have to be 100% clear on with the High Priestess, she'll always bring it to light. Maybe not now, maybe not for months, maybe not even for years, right? But it'll come out. The Lover's card, right? And what do all of these cards talk about? Balance, equilibrium, partnership, right? You see how both of, look, just look. So much, right? So much about balance, equilibrium, what is right, what is wrong, what do you get, what do I get? And your first card out on your sections was the Two of Pentacles, a card of balancing the material plane. Third week of the month, you have a big decision to make. You're either in or you're out. And then for the fourth week of the month, you've got the Star card, right? So making a big decision for the future. Now, if you're happily married, this could literally be that you and your partner, as I said, you're making a big decision together, and it's like, you know what, we're going to let go of this now in the short term because we know what we're going for in the long term, right? There's an agreement that's being reached here, and it's coming through a commitment. So interesting. I mean, this is so much air as well. Justice, Libra. The Lovers, Gemini. The Star, Aquarius. All three of the air signs. With a little bit of the High Priestess, some Cancerian energy thrown in to boot. Okay, so in terms of your moons, I'm not going to go into great detail here because obviously you're getting your full moon and new moon reports. So the full moon on March 7th, the same day that your ruling planet moves into the sign of Pisces, we've got a full moon in Virgo, which for you is in your 9th house. You've got the gate 27 and caring. I actually really like this for a profound shift or maybe even profound healing around a familial connection or tie. I really like this for a big realization of some sort that comes in that kind of gets you to see your future in a really different way. And there's support here, right? And it might come from a very spiritual place or source. I wouldn't be surprised by that actually, because the 9th house is a very spiritual energy. It really, really is. And so you're having a full moon in that space. So you could be having a conversation with God, the universe. You could have a dream. You could have a vision. Maybe somebody says something to you that's so profound that it just speaks to your soul and you're like, whoa, you know, like it hits you really, really deep. And then your new moon on March 22nd in the sign of Aries, you have the gate 37 and sweetness. Now, what's really interesting to me is both of these cards are familial cards. These are both about the family. And what's really interesting is the gate 37 for the new moon for you. New moon is in Aries, your 4th house of home, property, family, real estate. Something is said to you at both of these lunations, right? Something is said to you at the full moon that really profoundly changes your future outlook. But something is said to you in love and care and sweetness on that new moon in Aries that will stay with you forever. And I don't say that lightly. Whatever parting words, you know, it might be something that a family member says to you or whatever. And it's like you will never forget whatever you are told. Whatever is said to you will sit in your heart forever. And it will be so, it will be so light and happy. Sorry, I'm feeling what you're going to be feeling further down the line. It will be so light and happy, but it will sit in your heart and it will sit there forever. And when it does, it will carry you forward. All right. With that said, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a wonderful March. Let me know in the comments. Do you love it? Do you loathe it? Does it sit right with you? Keep me posted and stay tuned for way more content.